tie it up.
Yeah, try going all the way.
It's on already, it's connected.
Hit the toolbox. It's gonna ask for password. Getting married, single. Don't touch it. Reception. Sometimes you gotta take it.
I don't know what it is, someone, I don't know how I got on it. Not good, but
Golf course yeah.
Actually, paper. That's our last name.
I'm just about to say, because I got to go to my end, it's not like this, there's no
Legislator Devlin, please lead us in the pledge.
Well, I raise your hand for the pledge. Place your right hand over your heart and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mr. Oliver, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Deputy Presiding Officer Nicolello.
Here.
Alternate Deputy Presiding Officer Gopal. Legislator Faino.
Here.
Legislator Solage.
Here.
Legislator Ford. She's here. Legislator Curran.
Here.
Legislator Becker. Legislator Muscarella. Legislator Burndown.
Here.
Legislator Dirigi Whitten.
Here.
Legislator Kennedy. Legislator Schaefer.
Here.
Legislator Dunn.
Here.
Legislator Jacobs.
Yeah.
Legislator Walker.
Here.
Legislator McKenzie.
Here.
Legislator Rhodes.
Here.
Minority Leader Abrahams. And Presiding Officer Gonzalez.
Present.
We have a quorum.
I was just advised that it would be, in order for me to let those in the audience and put on in this body that Legislator Becca's father-in-law just passed away. All right? I said father-in-law just passed away, so that's why he's not here today. So that's a sad thing, but I know he would have been here had they not been for the death of his father-in-law. At this point, we have a motion to hold a hearing on the Nassau County budget, I believe, and its amendments. And I think at this point in time, we need a motion to open the hearing. Moved by Legislator Patel, second by Legislator Rhodes. Okay. All those in favor of opening the hearing signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The hearing is now open. and the vote was unanimous. Okay. It is in order at this time to, since we've had 2 hearings on the budget and various departments were weighed in on the items that are proposed in the budget, this is an opportunity for the public to address the legislators. And I'm going to ask that it has been our policy for many years that we did not use the legislative meetings as a forum for political aspirations. So I'm going to ask if anybody here today is running for office, that when you introduce yourself, please do so by indicating who you are and what office you are running for. That's the, I think we've given a lot of leeway to the fact that we've given the candidates an opportunity to use this chamber. So without any further ado, I'm going to call on those who have submitted a slip. And the first individual I have is it Tova Blount? Excuse me? Okay, Tova Blount.
And the minority leader is here.
Welcome, Tova.
Hi.
Just press that red button.
Button, Tova.
Got it. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. In the interest of full disclosure, I am a candidate for Legislative District 7, and my name is Tova Plow. I'm here to speak about the new video lottery casino planned in Nassau County. By including revenue from the unbilled casino, the Republican majority has made their support for the casino quite clear. The question on everyone's mind is where the casino will be built. OTB apparently now understands, after our local opposition, our petition, and our protest, that the Five Towns community will not tolerate a casino in the community. Legislator Coppell, I'm disappointed that it took you so long to use your position to get to the bottom of reports that the Five Towns was being considered as a location for the new casino. While you remain silent, I led the charge against the casino. While you remain silent, I wrote letters and expected an answer, but you remained silent. You remained silent when I circulated a petition against the casino, and you failed to attend the protest against the rally this past Sunday. But what about the rest of the county? The decision to announce the Five Towns will not have a casino a week before an election is a clear political move, and an insult to the other communities in Nassau County. Obviously, I'm pleased that our hard work has paid off, and there will not be a casino in the Five Towns, but I'm here to advocate for the entire county, and the failure to address the worries of all of Nassau communities is a disgrace. OTB's refusal to announce locations under consideration is outrageous and unacceptable. No Nassau community should have a casino forced down their throats. No casino should be built in a Nassau community without community approval. The legislator has the power to require the OTB to disclose the location, and the failure to do so is shameful. And that's on the presiding officer who has refused to take action. But if you pass a budget that includes the income from this casino without knowing where it will go, it is a slap in the face to every Nassau community and every resident. Just because the county executive and the legislative majority want to close their eyes and wish $20 million of revenue will appear, NIFA is skeptical of that projection, and adoption of a budget that includes this revenue is irresponsible and will push Nassau even closer to bankruptcy. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Tova. Legislator Coppell.
It's really too bad that we're engaging in something like this. I really like to avoid ad hominem attacks and hyperbole. But since you brought it up, I guess I'm going to respond in kind. Well, not in kind, I should say. I'm going to respond with facts. You know, if you aspire to an office like this, which not only represents a community, but also deals with the entire county, you've got to have a number of attributes. And you've got to be knowledgeable, you've got to be responsible, you've got to have honesty and integrity, or you should. Unfortunately, it's not what I'm seeing over here. As a matter of fact, you've been milking an issue about an imaginary casino in the 5 towns, which doesn't exist, never was planned, never was going to exist, and the shame of it is that you actually knew. You knew for a fact that it wasn't going to be there. How do I know that you knew? Because I told you myself quite a while ago. I told
Without
you that
disclosing your sources and without letting us know, wait a minute, you just called me a liar. And I think I have a right to respond to that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay. Now, as a matter of fact, I expressed, and it was published in the Herald in terms of my opposition, and I told you, and I announced it in front of your face, I don't have to disclose sources. I said that I know for a fact, and it is a fact, and the OTB will announce it. And I spoke with if you want to know the sources, it was Joe Cairo at OTB. He was the head of OTB. As soon as I spoke to him, he said, look, if you don't want it, it's not going to happen, first of all, there. Second of all, the neighborhood, I told him can't handle it. And third of all, he told me that it was never really something. Somebody came over to him and proposed it. They looked at it. They decided it's not the right place. And it was never going to be done. Now, to take that issue and milk it and go ahead and incite people to come to rallies and misappropriate email lists of schools and go to report and they apologized to me for that, where they somehow have a campaign piece of yours going out on their email letterhead. You know, it's just irresponsible. It's irresponsible. It shouldn't be done. And it goes beyond that. I mean, when you start calling people, as your campaign literature does, dishonest and corrupt, that's not right. And you know, the largest paper in the area, talking about the 5 towns, the most important and largest paper in the area, says that you're just looking to create sensationalist issues that don't exist. That came out this morning. And as far as the corruption and the corruption goes, I mean, the editor there says, I'd like to think that the residents are too savvy and educated to know, they're savvy and educated enough to know when they're being misled. The other thing is knowledge. You should know that OTB controls this. The legislature does not get a vote. We cannot force anyone to disclose anything. That's up to them. You need to know these things when you start talking about it. Responsibility goes further. I mean, if you want to be responsible, one of the most important things about doing a job is showing up. You aspire to do a job. You're a member of a school board, and your attendance record is shockingly bad. I mean, it's what, a 33% absentee rate. Maybe if you combine it with the late rate, you're closer to 50%. That's really not what needs to be. Now, I think that you might be able to be, you know, you do some active things in the community, you might be fine, but at some point, but you really need to get your act together, because you're not doing it right.
That's out of order.
I will respond, because so much for this not being a political matter.
I'm sorry, Santoma. You had the 3 minutes, you raised the question, and he responded to it, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Presiding officer, hi, presiding officer, thank you.
Excuse me, it's a public point to discuss today. You'll have your turn when we turn it over to legislature. No, it's not going to be a give and take. She addressed...
She made a public comment, and I have a comment to make, please.
You will have a comment to make.
I have a right as a sitting legislator to respond to an issue that's raised in public comment.
You are definitely out of order. You can respond when we get to the point where the legislature...
By logical deduction, if it's not going to be in the 5 towns, if it's not going to be in Westbury, it's going to be in Elmont. The casino will be in Elmont. Is that what you're saying, Legislator Coppell? The casino is going to be in Elmont? Is it going to be with the soccer stadium, going to be Trojan horse for a casino?
I will have my... Don't respond. That's it. Okay, at this point in time, legislator Salatas, none of us know where the OTB is.
Obviously, Mr. Copal knows something that we don't know.
And as was stated,
I mean, he spoke to Joe Cairo.
benefit for everybody else, as was stated, this is a decision that's going to be made by the New York State. Excuse me, Tola, you had your 3 minutes.
$13 million is riding
You
on it.
raised the
Right to
question,
know.
and now I'm telling you, you have your 3 minutes.
I
And
didn't
I will
use up my
tell you,
3
we'll move on. And the next person is Wayne Wink.
Good afternoon, folks. It felt a little strange to be on this side until the last couple of minutes. And then it felt at home.
I bet you're happier there.
More than you'll ever know. Good afternoon, everyone. Most of you I've served here in this legislature with. Some of you I just know, and I'm good friends with all of you, I hope. And my condolences for Legislator Becker's family. I guess we just heard about it just now. But I stand today because after some back and forth, it appears as though the budget amendments that are being considered today include a revenue line of $1.5 million in the police district fund, which is the direct result of a still yet proposed toll franchise system. As the licensing authority for the town of North Hempstead, one of my many responsibilities is dealing with tow trucks and dealing with the licensure of them. And in that capacity, I can tell you that in our history in North Hempstead, over 20 years ago, we established what is known as a rotation system for accident pickups by tow operators. The rotation system, in fact, came about as a result of a request from and with the cooperation of the police department itself. In some measure because there was concern about the risk of individual police officers being able to steer business towards one tow or another. And the police department requested that we create a system that took the discretion of the police itself out of the process. I can say firsthand, both as a councilman, as a county legislator, and now as a town clerk, that is a system that has worked tremendously well. And any complaints you hear about tow operators or about accident scene situations with tow operators does not occur in my town, with rare exception. And if it does occur somewhere else, I highly recommend they go to a rotation system. Our rotation system would be eliminated under a franchise system, where the highest bidder would be given the right to control an entire zone, not only for impounds like you currently have, but also for accident calls. And so I suggest to you that it's a bad idea to include this $1.5 million in your proposed amendments for 2 reasons. One, because as far as the town of North Hampshire is concerned, this system ain't broke. I'm asking you not to fix it. And secondly, because I can tell you on behalf of our town supervisor, Judy Bosworth, Councilman Angelo Ferrara, who has been the town board liaison to our tow industry, we all stand together in saying that we will defend our system, but with any legal means necessary. And so I think for both the reason that it's an unworkable alternative, as well as for the fact that it will, in fact, lead to litigation, I suggest you not include that $1.5 million in this budget.
Your 3 minutes have expired, sir.
Thank you. One last thought. If and when the underlying legislation, which I know went through committee already and hasn't been addressed by this full legislature, but if in fact that underlying legislation does come to the floor, not only will I be here again to talk about the merits or lack of merits in that system, but I will join with not only the few towers that are here today, but probably dozens more to oppose that legislation as well. So I ask that you take this into consideration when you consider your budget amendments.
Well, Wayne, thank you very much for your comments. I just want you to know that this item has not passed through committees. And so it is subject to review on.
My understanding was
it has not gone through committee.
items 323-15 and 322-15,
Yes,
I believe
it
that
did
passed.
go, I'm sorry.
Right. But they've not been called by
Not go
you.
to the full legislature.
I understand.
Until then, it is still under review.
And I understand, I'm just putting you on notice
And
that
I
we'll be
know
back
that there are,
to deal with the merits
like you
of
said,
that.
there are people from that industry here,
Yes.
and I want them to be, to relate to this, because, as I said, it has not gone through the full ledge, and there are plenty of questions that need to be addressed.
And I appreciate that, but if you go forward with the budget amendments, now I know that this revenue has been in the past 2 or 3 budgets, as I understand it. And I know in a $3 billion budget, $1.5 million doesn't amount to a whole lot. But at the same time, if you include it, I know the seats you're sitting in, I know the pressures that come, especially from outside agencies like NYFA, that when you have revenue opportunities, you take them. And I'd hate to see this budget amendment make the underlying legislation a fait accompli.
When you know as well as I do, that this budget is a plan, and that there are going to be areas in this budget that probably will need to be addressed.
Yes,
And this
and
may be one of them.
the budget is a living document, I
That's
understand
right.
that, but at the
A
same
living
time,
document.
it shouldn't be a wish list.
Absolutely, that's exactly it.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I have legislative Ford and then legislative Capel. I almost said legislative Wank, I'm sorry.
I've been called worse, Dees. And just this morning, in fact.
You made some valid points, okay, and everything will be taken into consideration, but I want you to know that I will stand with you, and I doubt this legislation will go forward in regard to the ones that were passed under committee, and I will stand with you and the tow truck drivers to defeat that legislation, but I sincerely doubt it will even be called.
And I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, legislative Capel, and then Minority Leader Kavan.
First, let me say, Wayne, it's really good to see you again.
Good to see you.
We miss you here.
I miss all of you, I don't miss being here. There's a lot more facility being the clerk and marrying people and getting birth certificates and doing a lot of fun things and never have to raise taxes. I'm not saying you're going to, I'm just saying I don't have to.
And you get to congratulate a lot of people. What could be bad, right?
Exactly.
I appreciate what you're saying, and do you have any knowledge, Wayne, of what's going on in any of the other jurisdictions, in other words, the cities, the other towns?
Well, it's my understanding, and far be it for me to speak for them, but
Right.
my understanding is that for quite some time, possibly for the last year or so, the town of Hempstead has been contemplating going to the same type of rotation system that the town of North Hempstead has employed for over 20 years. In February, I believe, they actually passed legislation to enact it, and my understanding, and this is very third-hand information, was that the county police department approached them and said, don't implement the rotation system, we're looking to do the franchise system. So I believe, based on conversations we've had, that town of Hempstead is ready to go with the rotation system, but for the fact that they've been told to hold off.
Well, okay, thanks, Wayne. Wayne, as I say, it's come more often and tell us your views. It's always great to hear from you, and yeah, we'll look at this very closely. Appreciate hearing.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Minority Leader Kavan.
How are you, Wayne?
I'm well, thank you.
Good to see you. As has been echoed before, obviously, I mean, the sentiments of the majority seem like this will not be called. However, I would like to go one step further to ensure goodwill and good faith in that response, in that responsibility. As you probably well know, as a technical adjustment amendment, the county executive is including the $1.5 million in the budget.
And if I'm not mistaken, he also included it as a gap closer in his letter to NYFA, when NYFA questioned some of the risk assumptions.
True.
Yeah.
So I would think that it would be prudent of the legislature to take action today to not call that amendment. If there's a willingness that this will not be called going forward, then to me it would be fair to just not call the amendment at all. That way,
I'll leave that to discretion
we could give the gentlemen that are here, from the gentlemen and ladies, I don't know if there's any ladies in the back, but the folks that are here today that are on this issue, to give them the confidence that the county has no plan to budget this in its 2016 budget. And based off of echoing the comments that I heard earlier from Legislator Ford, it sounds like it's not going to be called. So we should just not do the amendment today, which is before us today.
And that's fully within the discretion of the team of you, particularly the presiding officer. I would say, from my own history, that it would be good policy to eliminate it and don't make it a possibility going forward.
Today we're be called. If the method is presented to us, then to me, it just looks like a mixed message, but we would plan to vote against it if it is called today, because that's a mixed message based on what we're hearing today. Thank you again.
Once again, thank you, Wayne, come again.
Thank you very much.
Al Levine.
Al Levine.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I
Al.
was here for the last meeting when the suggestion of the vision of the county was brought up, and it was never called on. When you ended your last meeting, it was just suspended. I'm thinking that it was coming back up today, and I wanted to come and make sure. I feel a lot better after Wayne's spoken, and some of you have voiced your opinion about this proposal with the county. As a tower, it would put a big hurting on my income and now put me out of business. I speak to probably over 300 towers in the county of Nassau. This is not a good idea. But I feel a lot more confident after some of you spoken your opinions that it won't happen. I'm glad to hear that, because it just wouldn't work, and it would put a hurting on a lot of towers in the county.
Mr. Levine, thank you for coming again. I recall you being here at the time when it went to committees. So thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hopefully your fears are reassured.
They are, thank you.
Are allayed, excuse me, Mr. Are allayed. Sorry about that. And that we are definitely going to consider this very carefully.
Thank you.
Sean Fagan? I believe that's it. Sean Fagan, I believe.
Hi. I was also here last month
That's right.
when we spoke about this, and I just want to repeat what I said last month. You know, that we're members of the community. I have a son who's 6 years old. He goes to school in my town. We're volunteer firemen. We're veterans. You know, we're working people. We work hard. So this proposal to franchise doesn't sit well with me and most of my colleagues. So I'm hoping that you guys will vote this down and do away with it once and for all, so we don't have to keep coming back here. You know, we all have work to do, and we were taken away from it today to come here. So, and I'm glad to hear that some of you are against this. So, if there's a way to put this to bed once and for all, we would all appreciate it. Thank you.
Sean, just one moment. Legislator Walker has a comment.
Sean, I just want to thank you again for being here today, and I know I've received many phone calls. I've received visits to my house by some of the tow truck operators, and certainly small business is something we care a lot about, and we know that you've done a great job in the communities, and I think you certainly get the feel from all of us up here where we all stand. But thank you again for being here, and hopefully your fears have been put aside. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fagan. Legislator Georgie. Oh, okay. You and then Ellen.
I just want to mention that this is listed in the police department revenue. It's like kind of hidden, not hidden, but it's hard to find. So I would feel a lot better if we took that out right now. We shouldn't have a line in the budget that number one, I don't think any of us will support, but it's also, it's something that you have to kind of find. It is buried, basically. So I really hope by the end of today that this is taken out of our budget.
Thank you.
Legislator Birnbaum.
Yes, hi, I'm so glad you came to speak today as a legislator of your district. You know that I'm totally against this, and I think our jobs as legislators are to create ways to bolster our economy, to create new jobs, not to put people out of business and eliminate jobs. So I think this is not the way to raise revenues for our county, like my colleague said, especially in the police district line, department line. So you could rest assured that I, along with most of the people here, are totally against this.
Thank you.
Mr. Fagan, Legislator Nicolau has a comment to make.
Just wanted to let you know, basically, it's back at the police department, it's back on the drawing board, so they have to figure out what they're going to do with this, but I don't foresee it coming back to us in the form that it was. But there's been some discussion of the fact that there's 1.5 million built into the budget in revenues from the tow franchise. In fact, there's a contingency in the police department for $4 million. In other words, they have cushion built in. So if we don't recognize the 1.5 million from this, there's more than enough money in the police department budget to accommodate that. So that's a long way of saying it's back to the drawing board. It's not before us at this point. It's not going to be before us until they change it in a way that doesn't hurt our small business operators.
Are we going to be notified if they change it? Because
Absolutely.
It seems like
Nothing's going to happen.
Sneaking in.
No. Nothing's going to happen until the entire industry is going to know exactly what happens before it comes before us again.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, someone said we know where you live.
They know where we live.
Now, I believe.
There are no other residents speaking today, and now the legislators who have an opportunity to question items in the budget or have questions from any of the, I believe is Office of Budget Management, individual Office of Budget Management here. Eric, is he here?
Yeah, we should bring Eric up.
OMB, okay, just in case, come on up, Eric, because I think you are going to be asking questions, and I believe that's Minority Leader Kavan. I believe you would like to question Mr. Eric. Okay? Please come forward.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Minority Leader Kavan, anyone? Who's going first? All right, Legislator DeReggie Whitten, you have a question for OMB?
I do. Good afternoon. One of the requests we made in our response to the budget was there's a tremendous amount of money in accounts receivable, $100 million, and we've been having a difficult time trying to find out exactly what that list consists of as to who owes the county money. Do you have an idea as to where the $100 million is, where we hope to get it from?
I don't know where you got a number of $100 million from. That definitely did not come from our office.
It's in the budget, right, where it came from? No, we don't know that. Well, all right, we don't know the exact amount, but I know it was estimated at $100 million.
We're asking that.
Or how much do you anticipate in the accounts receivable?
Most of the county's accounts receivables is related to state and federal aid, so it's really just a timing issue of waiting for that aid to come in.
Do you know how much, for instance, is still outstanding with the FEMA account?
In terms of FEMA, I don't have the exact numbers at this point, but I know that we've received pretty much, I would say at least 80% of our operating expenditures. So we're almost in full compliance. Plus, we also just received the 10% local share match as well. So we've received well over 90% of all outstanding liquidated expenses.
So out of the $200 million, you said you received about 80%, so that's...
I would say 90 because we did receive the local share match from the CDBG funds that we were guaranteed.
So about $20 million is still outstanding there, is that correct, or?
At most, yeah.
Okay, and do we do any kind of audit as far as, I know that there's a lot still outstanding with the state and all, but like for instance, there was the $5 million and in the health department alone, that was, it was basically received after we did the audit. Is there any, like who keeps on top of these accounts receivable?
It happens at the department level. They will follow up with the state to see if money is still owed to us. And obviously the county controller performs audits for us. But I think one thing that has to be pointed out is if something is a receivable, we're already recognizing that revenue in the budget.
Right.
So collecting it doesn't actually increase the budget amount, it's just more of a cash issue.
Well, it's another line that isn't completely, solid, because we say it's coming in, but if we don't know how many years, for instance, some things have been outstanding, if it's over 3, we're still gonna get it. I'm worried about this budget, because there's a lot of things that are coming out as, oh, we won't call that line, or, we're not sure where casino's going, but we're putting the money in. There's so many, unanswered questions as a legislator, and this to me is one. I would think as legislator, we should see exactly what is outstanding as far as accounts receivable, and we should see what efforts are being made to collect them.
Well, as you know, each year the controller with their audit does produce the amount of outstanding as of year end, so I'm sure that now you guys can make a request of the controller for that information.
All right, but you feel comfortable with the line that we have in our operational as far as accounts receivable?
We do a very good job of being conservative in our estimates, so I'm very comfortable with the budget.
Okay. All right. No, I'm sorry. I just want to strike that.
Yeah.
I just have a question. There has been a number of recommendations from both the SAR report, DA. Do you feel that there are any of those that we should really be focusing on right now before we pass this budget? Is there anything you would like to see happen?
The county executive is the policymaker for the administration. He would have to speak to those issues.
Yeah, but you're also pretty high up there as far as, your reputation and what we rely on as far as information. So I'm asking as legislator, what reforms would you like to see?
Any that the county executive is recommending.
That's not a good answer. You're your own man. I think you have your own position. I think it's important.
Legislators do what you would.
All right. The bottom line is, I know you said before you feel confident in the numbers, but as a professional and someone that has a high-paying position, do you feel comfortable with the fact that a number of these items are really we're still pondering as far as whether or not they're actually going to be happening?
I think clearly anytime you put together a budget, in this case a $3 billion budget, there are items that there is implementation risk, and it does require strong monitoring, which the budget office does perform. And throughout the year, we are forced to make adjustments depending on actions that happen outside of our control and things that happen internally. So we're comfortable that what was proposed to you is manageable. Clearly, NYPA's decision that we can't bond for term pay severely impacted our flexibility, but it's something that we will deal with.
As far as the contracts and how the procurement process, I know that there were recommendations for, right now it's a current a paper-based system, and they were hoping to get some type of automated system. Do you know if there's anything that we're proposing in this budget to go that direction?
Well, actually, the IT department's been working for some significant time in working to automate that process, and the budget director's been working closely with them, and I don't know if she wants to add some comments on the work that they've done. We have seen some prototypes of the process, but I'd like to speak a little bit to that. But essentially, it's all being done in-house with the talented staff that we have in IT, but I'll let her speak to it.
The system is actually, we're using something it's called an Apex application, and the Apex application will actually mimic the contract routing form that you do have before you now that we use currently. And we've also actually invited NYPA in to view the system, and they've actually, were very happy with it. So there's some tweaks that are being done now, and we're hoping to go live with it soon.
And do we have the expenses have been budgeted for this type of thing? I know you just said it's going to be in-house.
It's all developed in-house.
In-house.
Yep.
And are we going to have an opportunity to also be just advised as to how it's going to work?
Sure, we can set up a demo.
I think that would be like a huge improvement if we could get that. So do you have any idea approximately when you think it'll be online, or?
I would have to speak to the IT commissioner about that. You know, obviously, we met with NIFA probably, I want to say, about a month ago. And I know we left that meeting with a few revisions, so I would have to touch base with them. We have something scheduled, I believe, in a week or two.
Good. I would love to really see what that entails. Are you going to have like a separate office, like a procurement office, or are you going to keep the structure pretty much the same, or have you thought about that? Or?
I don't think there's been a final determination on how that will be handled.
All right, I'm good for right now, thank you.
Legislator Jacobs.
Yes. I have a question. I have a lot of questions on this budget, but I have a question I'm going to pose to you right now. I noticed there's a line where there's a proposal to raise the unfilled position of police commissioner by $62,200. I was wondering for the 2016 budget. I was wondering what prompted that and why that is in the budget.
Okay. We've actually been dealing with some of the media people in that issue earlier today. There is no proposed increase in pay for the commissioner title. What the Office of Management budget did was we took a look at what the current acting commissioner is being paid and said, okay, let's make sure we have enough funding to make sure that we can continue paying the acting commissioner in the budget. If there is a commissioner appointed, that commissioner will make $175.
I see. So this is, I don't want to explain what you're saying, but why, but if that higher number is in the budget, doesn't it actually give them the, give you the availability when you're hiring someone to bring it up $62,200? Once it's in the budget and we're voting on it, I understand what you're saying because I assume, which is always bad, that the acting commissioner Crumpter, this is his salary. He came in with the salary because he's still in that line that he always was in.
Correct.
As acting commissioner. Okay, but that explains the immediate problem. But the thing I'm saying is this money is being put into the 2016 budget. Once it's in there, isn't it part of that budget?
Remember, the line items are, in a sense, fungible. You can move money around. This can also be used to offset termination pay, be used for offsetting overtime. But I can definitively state that if a commissioner is appointed, that commissioner will make $175,000 a year.
But it's still, like being in there, it still allows you to pay up to that amount. Am I correct?
I will actually be first that even if the money was not, let's say we had budgeted $150,000 for that position, we could determine to still pay $175,000 because that's what the position calls for.
But I guess my main question is then why is it even singled out as being a point of discussion as a difference from everything else? Why is it in there then, the $62,200?
It wasn't a point of discussion for the administration. It was just a way that the office felt that was being more transparent to show what the acting commissioner is making.
But that's not the way, but he's not on that line. See, what bothers me is I understand that the county executive has a right to propose, but it really is not on that line. The acting commissioner is really working under another line, under civil service line, and I don't blame him, he didn't want to lose that. But I assume that the county executive has it in there for a reason, otherwise he wouldn't put himself in the position of literally having a black and white $62,200 for the new commissioner if it's already covered for the acting commissioner.
I will say that if this legislative body is uncomfortable with that line being there, we are comfortable as part of our technical adjustment, I don't know legally how we can do it, to show that line at $175,000 and we'll put the $62,000 into overtime.
Well, that's a thought, but I mean, it still doesn't explain, to me, it still doesn't, I'm not interested in building up on our overtime. I'm just interested in knowing that we already have a line for a police commissioner at $175,000. Obviously, Mr. Crumpter, acting Commissioner Crumpter, is doing a fine job. We all understand that he's acting because of the fact of the line he really is on, I still don't understand why this would have been separated out. I'm sorry.
It was just a matter that we thought it was more transparent to show the cost to perform that function. If he's to continue as acting commissioner, we're paying someone to act in that role over $230,000. So we thought we were helping be more transparent. If you think it adds to confusion, that's why we're willing to make a change.
I have to tell you, it adds to confusion and questions because obviously the next person that comes along is going to say, oh, wait, hold on a minute. I should be at that same salary then. And I can understand somebody thinking that. They check it out, they may not be aware of civil service and that's why he's acting and everything else. And my only question is really, it was a confusion point to me when I saw it.
All right, well, I'll apologize for the confusion.
Well, the point is that I think it should have been well thought out before it's in there.
Legislator Jacobs, that's it? Do you have another question or so?
Well, it really does bring on the next question. So, by you bringing in at some point a new commissioner, you actually save $62,200 once this line is in there?
Savings is a tough word to use because obviously the acting commissioner will go back to his current function and he'll continue to make what he's making. So I think we're actually benefiting from the fact right now of not having him serve that dual role.
But if you bring in a new commissioner and you're put in a position, which I'm not saying, listen, I have the deepest respect for you. You bring in a new commissioner, you decide you're going to be running for commissioner, you're in the running. Well, you're looking at the salary that's being made by the acting, and you're apt to say, well, I assume that was what it's going to be. I just believe that where this is being put, obviously makes it sound like that's exactly what's going to happen. Otherwise, the acting commissioner, how would he know or she know that $175,000 is really the actual salary?
I'm not the HR person, but I'm pretty sure that when we put out an ad for the position, it will state what the salary will be.
We're all a little confused on this side by that, I'll tell you honestly. I just wouldn't have had it in there. I mean, $175,000 has always been in the budgets. I would leave it. We all know that the acting commissioner is making $62,200 over that. But why put that in black and white, that if we pass a budget line, we are actually passing a budget line for the commissioner's salary to be $62,200 over the $75,000.
Again, I will state that there was no intent to increase that salary, and as I said, is to make it clearer, please modify it.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric.
Legislator Szilagyi.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Good afternoon, Mr. Norton. How are you
Good afternoon.
today?
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. My line of questioning for you is reserved regarding the casino line in the budget. According to the administration's estimate, the county would gain $20 million in new revenue from the casino. But how much total revenue would the casino need to make annually for the county to gain $20 million?
I wish you had sent us that question in advance because off the top of my head, I don't know what the number is, but perhaps before this meeting's over, I know our staff is listening in, they'll send us the information.
You're a smart man, I'm sure you remember. Was it 50 million, 100 million?
I'm smart enough to know not to put out a number that I'm not sure of.
That's a very smart answer, Mr. Norton. Very good answer, Mr. Norton. But is it reasonable to, let's just say it was 100 million, is it reasonable to estimate that the casino would have to generate that amount in order for the county to benefit $20 million? I mean, there were the police consolidation efforts in which the county executive would save $20 million, and that didn't happen. Certain retirement incentives, $20 million savings didn't happen. How can we make this estimate that we would gain $20 million on gambling, no less? I mean, if we have tough economic times, don't you think that people won't go to the facility?
Let's just go to Resorts World and take a look.
All right. I'm here with the budget director. So according to our numbers here, it looks like they would have to gross roughly $500 million a year.
$500 million?
Of action,
$500 million.
of
Okay.
activity.
Wow. So
Now,
now,
and they would net roughly about 10% of that, which would be about $51 million.
but Aqueduct, I mean, they don't make that much. I mean, that's a lot of revenue.
That's based on Aqueduct.
Excuse me?
So that's based on the gross receipts at the race path. Aqueduct?
Yes.
But hold on, but Aqueduct, would be a competitor here. I mean, how could we be sure that we were getting at least $500 million in revenue?
Well, that's the estimation. First of all, the $20 million estimate came from New York State OMB, but that's primarily based on the receipts at Aqueduct. So their analysis was primarily based on the receipts at Aqueduct.
Okay.
But the $20 million estimate came from New York State OMB.
Is it not the case that that an OTV official stated to you that $100 million would be necessary in order for the county to get $20 million?
Stated to either one of us, the answer would be no.
Okay. So you were here in the room between the exchange between Tova Palat and Legislator Coppell. So through logical deduction, we all know that the casino won't be in Westbury. Is that correct?
As our budget document states, by December 1st, OTV will announce their proposed temporary site.
But if it won't be in Westbury, it won't be in the 5 towns, according to Coppell, who said that Cotter asked him where does he want to be. Would that logically mean that the only place left would be Belmont Racetrack, which is located in the unincorporated hamlet of Almont?
I think you have a limited view of what the options are, and I think if we wait till by December 1st, we'll have a better idea of what they're actually proposing. So I think for me to try to venture where it could possibly be doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Has the county considered the financial and social impact of gambling on young people in the community where a VLT casino will be located? I see here Pat Boyle, who runs GYO in Almont, and if that location would be in Almont, I'm sure that would affect some of the family members of the children who go to that program. I mean, has the county considered the social impact of gambling on young people?
I think I wasn't here when the county, when this legislative body voted for the legislation, that obviously it got approved and people felt that it was something that should be considered.
Did the county, as they were proposing the plan for the casino, did the county develop any plan to prevent or monitor underage youths from entering the gambling facility?
Legislator Salatis, I'm not an employee of OTB. I won't be running the casino, so
okay.
I don't think I can give you the best answers that you're looking for.
But you're good at numbers. Let me just ask you one more question. To generate $500 million on this gaming floor, wouldn't there have to be at least 5,000 to 6,000 machines?
No, I think that what numbers?
The legislation only calls for 1,000 machines.
Okay, so only with 1,000 machines, we're going to gain $500 million in revenue?
And again, we're talking about the gross activities. They're only going to net roughly about $51 million.
But in order to have these 1,000 machines generate $500 million revenue, I guess these machines would have to be on from 6 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the following morning. Is that correct?
I believe the operation will be, I'm not sure the exact hours of the operation, but I will say that we were comfortable with the estimate and that's why we included it in the budget.
But it would be a 20-hour facility, is that correct?
Again, I'm not going to comment on what OTV's operation will be.
But as you recall, when they proposed it for Westbury, it was a 20-hour facility, is that correct?
I didn't see the exact proposal for Westbury, so I can't comment on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller.
You're welcome.
Okay, Legislator Nicolello. I'll call Laura.
I thought this was the number, but this just kept reinforcing me. But the Resorts World Casino, which is a few miles from Belmont at Aqueduct Raceway, is $18 billion of activity that goes on there every year. And just pulled up a recent news story, in 2012-13, $300 million went to the state coffers in that facility. I'd say there's a fair number of residents from Nassau County, fair numbers conservative, but the numbers that you're using obviously have been borne out by a facility that's out. This larger facility is going to generate more revenue, but the numbers that you're using, or they're using to estimate $20 million is, if anything, on the conservative side.
Thank you.
Legislator Curran.
Thank you. I noticed in the budget that there is a jump in $4 million in seasonals in the Parks Department and other departments for seasonal workers. So from this year, it goes from 5 million to next year, 9 million, which seems pretty stark. It seems like a pretty high jump, in my opinion. Am I reading that right?
It looks like the budget director is an expert on this issue, wants to comment.
The budget was predicated on 2 years' worth of actual expenditures. So the last 2 years, we spent what we spent, so we budgeted accordingly. We didn't want to budget a shortfall. So if we would have budgeted 5 million, it would have been a $4 million shortfall.
So you're saying it's for 2 years' worth?
No, what I'm saying is it's 2 years' worth of experience that we've expended the $9 million range.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So therefore, it would have been prudent to budget less than that.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm sorry, before you finish, I just want to add, because something that Roseanne also usually stresses is that when you look at the total cost of salaries in the Parks Department.
I'm sorry, say that again?
If you look at the total cost for salaries in the Parks Department, it's relatively flat. You know, we're operating with fewer full-time employees.
Right.
So we have a great need to, if we want to maintain the operations there, to have seasonals there.
Right, that makes sense. And then the follow-up question I have for that is that with the synergy savings with the sewers, we are supposed to be having some workers who are going from the sewers to be filling these kinds of seasonal jobs, other overtime work that needs to be done. And it seems like that's not happening.
I would agree that it's not happening at the rate that we had originally projected.
Right. And is there a plan for that to happen, or do we have to recalibrate? Because the county, when we did this with United Water, it looks like United Water is fulfilling its part of the contract, but that the county is not fulfilling what it said it would do as part of this deal.
The big issue is that we're still working with civil service in terms of the titles for the employees who are still at the sewer fund to make sure that they can do the work without us, getting into a grievance situation.
Right.
And also to add, in terms of the visa positions, a lot of staff has basically departed from the county, and those staffers that did transfer to the general fund were filling those, are backfilling those positions. So there are synergy savings, but may not be quite evident because they're backfilling vacant positions now,
Right.
as of September 15th.
Okay, all right, that does make sense. Yeah, I guess, we're just looking for accountability for what was promised and what was said. I mean, what you say makes sense. You're backfilling positions that are empty. The transfer of some of these sewer workers because of civil service issues is not happening as quickly as we want. But is there a plan for it to happen a little bit more quickly? Is there a way to smooth it over to make it happen so that we can start saving this money?
There is, as management, we're constantly working with civil service on different groupings of titles to see how we can move some of the employees. So trust us, it's impacting the general fund.
Yeah.
So we are constantly looking to see how we can improve the process.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The others, that's it?
All right, thank you.
Okay, motion to close the hearing, moved by legislator Capel, seconded by legislator Dunn. All those in favor of closing the hearing, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The hearing is now closed. Thank you very much, Mr. Norton. Next item is the legislative budget, and I would like a motion to put the legislative budget on the floor, please. Moved by legislator Walker, seconded by legislator Capel. All right. Any comments regarding the legislative budget? There being none, All those in favor of the legislative budget signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the passes unanimously. Okay, all right, the legislative budget passed unanimously. All right, the next item on the order of proceedings is the county budget itself. A motion, please, for the budget, and a second motion to adopt the budget of for 2016. Come on, I need to put it on the floor. Okay? Motion to put on the floor, moved by legislator Nicolello, seconded by legislator Capel. All right, now, I believe that we have amendments that are going to be put forth by the minority. Am I correct? Minority Leader Kavon here. Abraham, okay. Would you please?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. At the present time, I would like to put our amendments on the floor, which we have introduced a week prior to the clerk of the legislature. But before I do so, I want to read a statement into the record first. The county budget is the foundation of everything else we do as a legislature and a county government. It charts the course of the county for the next year. It reflects the choices we make and the priorities we set to best serve the interests of the public. The priorities of the Minority Caucus are clear. First, no casinos. The county executive and the Republican majority refuse to listen to the clear voice of the taxpayers who simply do not want casinos anywhere in Nassau. With regard to the casino issue, keep in mind that the budget season gives us the opportunity to pause and reflect on what we learned in the past year. Recall that last cold day in February, in the middle of a blizzard, residents packed this very room and told us under no certain terms that they would ever accept a gambling casino in their neighborhood. I am confident that every one of those residents would express the same outrage today if you told them that a casino was coming to their community. Since that day, last February, I have yet to find one resident who has asked us to bring a casino to their neighborhood, close to their homes or their schools. In fact, if the majority of legislators were honest about it, they would admit to themselves that they would be first to object if OTB announced plans to put the casino in their district. So why are the county executive and the majority proposing budgets that rely so heavily on casino revenue? Why are they ignoring the voice of the people? Let there be no mistake. The Democratic budget sends the message to the OTB and to all concerned: we do not want a casino, and we do not want the casino revenue anywhere in the budget to help balance the county budget at the cost of destroying our quality of life anywhere in Nassau. The other lesson that the majority has failed to learn from our experience in 2015 concerns public integrity. As it is plain for us all to see, we have failed to come up with a contract procurement system that, as of today, according to the DA's report, is a breeding ground for corruption, mismanagement, and the waste of taxpayer dollars. We are at ground zero in an explosion of public corruption investigations that have shaken the highest levels of state, county, and local government in Nassau. It is impossible to be blind to the overwhelming demand for reform, yet the majority has only refused to be our partner in reform. They have actually permitted all the discredited procurement practices to continue to flourish by blocking all the minority contract reform initiatives and hearings. The proposed budget of both the majority and the county executive continue this track record of obstruction by failing to make any clear provision of funds or reforms recommended by the acting district attorney or the county executive's own contract review panel chaired by Mr. Zarba. We call upon the majority today to do the right thing, to cease being a part of the problem, and to support our amendments that will fund such crucial initiatives as the independent inspector general to finally bring integrity to the contracting process. Finally, we unequivocally oppose to any tax increase, unlike our colleagues in the majority. We are equally opposed to all the Mangano fee increases, which are merely backdoor tax increases. Today, we make the pledge that if a tax increase is vetoed, or the tax increase that's coming out of the budget is vetoed by the county executive, we make the pledge that we will override that veto. I cannot say the same for my counterparts in the majority. Thank you.
Okay, a motion for the amendments, please.
So moved.
Second, please. Moved by Yvonne Abrams and seconded by Legislator Georgia Whitman. Okay, any other discussion, any other comments? There being none, all those in favor of the minority of amendments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Nay. The amendments fail. Fails. Fail, I believe it is 11 to 7. All right, 11 to 7 because Mr. Becker is not here. Okay, and now, for the majority amendments. I'm going to put forth those amendments in a very concise manner, and hopefully we will be able to support those amendments. And the amendments of the legislative majority have been on file in final form for 7 days as required by the Nassau County Charter. I will provide a brief summary of the amendments and will then ask for a motion. Brief summary. The first one, capture revenue from income and expense law to the tune of $15.8 million of a possible $45 million plus universe of fines for failure of commercial property owners to file income and expense statements. The second, reduce encumbrances for outdated contracts to the tune of $7 million in revenue. That would mean $7 million in revenue is added to allow for a number more in line with historical revenue estimates. The third item is reduce debt service budget. This is a $2 million reduction, which is in line with NYFIR's estimate, which is the lowest of the county's fiscal monitors. Most fiscal monitors believe a far higher number will be available. 4, bring fringe benefits and head count more in line with actual numbers. A $3.2 million reduction is realized to account for savings from employees who left the county's workforce after the proposed budget was submitted, leaving funds to encourage backfilling. 5, eliminate property tax increase, reduce the property tax line in the proposed 2016 budget by the proposed increase of $12 million. 6, reduce GIS tax map verification fee increase. This amendment will reduce the administration's proposed increase by nearly 1/2 for a reduction in revenue of $8 million. And last, at 7, reduce mortgage recording fee increase. This amendment will reduce the fee increase proposed by the administration by nearly 1/2 for a reduction in revenue of $8 million. We believe these amendments better reflect the priorities of our residents, and we encourage all to support them. May I have a motion for these amendments? Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Kennedy. All right. Any questions, any comments regarding these items? Okay, there being none, all those who, excuse me.
Madam Design Officer?
Hold on. I have a comment from Deputy Presiding Officer Capel. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Very short comment. I like a lot of the amendments. I think a lot of them are going to bring in money. The income and expense law is prudent. I think we could do better. I am hopeful that we will do, in fact, more than we're stating there. But it certainly is a conservative estimate of the money we'll bring in. I'm not thrilled that we have to raise fees at all. However, I am pleased that we were able to cut them substantially, and as a matter of fact, cut them in half. And that's a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Any other comments?
If I may.
Legislator Curran?
Maybe.
Okay,
I have a
Minority
question,
Leader?
I have a question, Madam Presiding
Go
Officer,
ahead.
on your item in regards to the encumbrance of outdated contracts. What exactly is that?
Simply, there are contracts that have either not spent entirely the amount that was funded for. There are contracts that were never materialized, and I believe that this number is very, very minuscule in response to the entire number of outdated contracts.
Okay. And then also, just in point of clarification, I think alternate Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell mentioned that you're only eliminating half of their fee increases.
Yes,
How did you come to the determination to eliminate only this half and not the other half, and so on and so forth?
Budgetary Office did approve of
No. What I'm saying is, how did you determine that it would only be mortgage recorded in NGS and not the other ones?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's believed by this body, come on, that this is all that we could achieve and at the same time be fiscally prudent.
Okay. And then my last question is in regards to your elimination of the property tax. While I'm glad to see it because we are also in agreement of that, however, is this the position of the majority that you will be against the property tax increase in the event the county executive vetoes or line item vetoes that particular portion of your amendments?
We will cross that bridge when it comes to them. I'm telling you right now, we are not going to commit to an override, and we're not going to acknowledge the fact that the county executive is going to veto our amendments.
So basically, your
It's a wait and
amendment,
see.
you don't stand by it though.
Pardon?
Do you stand by it?
You will never know until we see if the...
No, it's not about me knowing, it's about them knowing.
The
It's about
county
public knowing.
executive, if he chooses to veto, and then we will take appropriate action.
But what I'm asking is, when will that be? Because the bottom line is, if he vetoes your particular amendment on the property tax, you should know whether or not you're going to override. We know full well if our amendment's passed, we would seek an override on that county executive's amendments. We would stand by overriding the county executive's amendment to eliminate.
As I said, when he does not accept our amendments, our budget as we dispose of his, then we'll cross that.
In all due respect, Madam Presiding Officer, do you speak for the entire majority, or is there individual members that would like to override join us?
I said what I had to say, come on, and that's it. All right.
My response is this: you put up a bunch of phony amendments, and once you put up something serious, then we'll respond to what you're saying. But right now, we're taking the 1% property tax increase out. And that's all that needs to be known.
Our amendments are far from phony. And let's be clear, because when NYFA judges on your amendments today, I'm sure the county will still be in the red. So let's just be clear about that too as well. Unless you're guaranteeing that you're going to be in the black after NYFA gets a chomp at this particular amendment, which we sure will not be the case.
Well, maybe you should talk to your friend, Mr. Haber, and instead of taking a political position on our amendments.
Do you really want to go down that route?
Yeah, I mean, he was sitting in the caucus when we had that rump session. So I mean, what kind of NYFA board members involved with political activity?
I don't know what that means. Hold on. I have to say
It's supposed to
something.
be a nonpartisan board. It's supposed to be above
Come
politics.
on. And Richard, let me tell you right now, the makeup of that board is questionable as far as partisanship is.
I don't believe it is questionable.
You may not believe, but we do believe. And at that point, I'm going to leave it alone.
Most of the appointments were made by the recommendations of the county executive, which I'm sure of.
I don't think so.
Well, I believe that to be the
But they were
case.
appointed by the
But
governor.
let's get back to the question. Madam President, are you speaking for the entire majority when you say you will not join us in overriding the county executive
I did not
veto
say that.
on the property? So who are you
We will
speaking
make a
for?
decision when that moment arrives.
I find it hard to believe that there is not 10 members that would be willing to override that veto after taking action today.
There's a very good
That they are
possibility
eliminating the
that's
tax
the case.
increase. What would change in 10 days that would change your mind?
There's a very good possibility that.
So join us.
No, we don't have to do it today, it's premature.
No, it's far from
premature,
premature.
the county exec has not vetoed the budget, we haven't presented it as of yet. So therefore, we've got to move on, and I would like to move on. That's it. If it's a repeat of what Minority Leader, I think it's time for us to take a vote on it.
No, it's not, and we're legislators, we have a right to.
You have,
this is a
you
big thing.
definitely have a right, but if it's a
So
repeat
it's
of
not a
what,
repeat, but I wanted to state something. You know, we have on the record now from our budget employees that all of basically the reforms that we're asking for the contracts are going to be concluded. And Roseanne, we're going to hold you to it because I want to see something in 2 weeks, like you said, and I want to be involved in everything with the IT. I want to see exactly what standards they're going to hold us to. Nassau County residents are totally disgusted with our procurement process. That's one thing. Number two, I think this budget contains a lot of real questionable objects, not knowing where a casino is. You know, I'm sorry, but I think if the legislator who represents a community didn't vote for a casino, it shouldn't be put in their district. They're representing that community, and it's not right that someone can vote for a casino and then put it in a legislator's district that is totally opposed and concerned for the welfare of their constituents. The last thing I want to just mention, last time, before Election Day, this body voted against a tax increase, and then it was overridden, and nothing was done, overrode, and nothing was done to change that. That was a disgrace to our citizens. I'm still embarrassed the fact that tax increase went through, and the legislators voted against it, and nothing was done to stop it. Like, that is against the whole makeup of this body. And if that happens again, I mean, one time is bad enough, but if that happens again, that you guys don't stand up, and, you know, that's all of you, Mackenzie, everybody.
If you want to put up some serious amendments, we'll consider. If you want to be part of this process.
We have.
You're taking a bunch of revenues out, you're increasing expenses, it doesn't add up.
You want to interrupt me, and I understand that.
If you want to be part of this process, then you have to be serious about what
Rich,
you're
I would be
proposing.
embarrassed too if I didn't let happen what you
I'd be
let
embarrassed
happen.
about what you put up.
I would be embarrassed by
serious.
not
It's a joke.
overturning a tax increase and then saying you didn't raise taxes. That's totally ridiculous. What happened last time, I think, is criminal. And if it happens again, it's even more than criminal, and you should all be embarrassed. I hope, I would feel good. I would feel good if this is my turn to talk, sir. What I think would be acceptable, it's all up to you guys. But you really have to consider the fact that if you do not work to veto, you know, to go after the veto, override the veto, it's really going to look horrible, because it already looked terrible once, and for it to happen again is a real disgrace, and Nassau County residents deserve better.
I'm going to say something to everyone on this body. I will tell you right now, if NIFA would only look a little bit more favorable on the amendments that we put forth, we would not be talking about override. And let me tell you something else. We did not override for a very good reason the last time. No, it was not because it was after the election. It was because NIFA threatened to make very drastic cuts that would impact in many of our districts, and we were not looking to have that happen. So we had to make a choice at that time. This time, I think we're on good, solid ground, and NIFA should be in our ballpark. And that's where I believe they may be heading. So I'm not going to sit here and say whether or not we'll override or won't override. We're offering very good amendments, and at this point in time, unless someone has something new to add to this discussion, and I mean something new, I'm going to ask for, I'm going to call a question. Something new. No, I'm not in a rush to go anywhere, but I'm not going to rehash items or comments that were already made.
Okay, I have three things into my one comment. We've heard today from the tow truck people, and we've heard the concerns, still in the budget, in black and white. You heard me talk about the $62,200 increase in the police commissioner line, still in the budget in black and white. And $20 million for casinos, which I don't know if any legislator up here wants in their district, still in the budget. And are you comfortable with what you put forward, that all these things are still in the budget?
Let me just respond to that. Judy, I mean, I understand the points that you're making, but you are the first person when someone comes up here, especially the oil and bus nice rather, we need to spend more money. Now, if you're going to take those things out of the budget, that's going to blow a $21.5 million hole in the budget. Tell us how we're gonna fill that
But
hole.
let me tell you something, it bothers me all the
So
time.
if you're gonna advocate for increasing expenses, find us the revenues. If you wanna take the revenues out.
The problem with the budget, as I see it, is that some of these things are so, we all know, are not gonna go by very quickly and very easily. There is a legislator up here who wants the casino in their area. Yes, I do advocate for Able Ride, and I do advocate for the bus service, and to be honest with you, greatly frustrated that I've never joined on anything with the administration as to putting more money into this. It certainly is not equal. You talk about economic growth in this county, it can't happen if people can't get there. You can't have people that do not have cars able to get to jobs.
But if we start taking out revenues out of the budget, where are you gonna cut?
But your revenues have to be sensible. I mean, you all know that the casinos is something, I realize it's not in our bailiwick, but if we're voting it through and we're counting it as part of the monies that are gonna come in, it's our way of saying we're in favor of it, no matter where it is.
If there are thousands of people from Nassau going into Resorts World Casino on a regular basis, that money is going into the city of New York. I want to see that money stay here because, as you said, there's many things that we need to spend more money on. And to have that money disappear to the city of New York is ridiculous.
But if you're talking
And I think
about,
it's realistic to think that if we build something, people are going to go there. $18 billion a year in money goes through the machines in Resorts World. $18 billion.
But Rick, just to be honest here, let's just be you're able to say that and stand up on a high horse because you know it's not going in your area. If I said the casino was going to New Hyde Park, would you have the same position you just said?
If you find a suitable location in my district, then we'll talk about it. I'll find a suitable location and we'll agree
Or
with
is
it.
it yes?
Well, what's it? Where do you want to put it? You want to put it in somebody's house?
No, I'm saying, Rick,
Rick,
you and I are friends, but I'm saying, you're standing on a high horse saying we need the revenue, why should it go to Queens? Because you know full well in your heart of hearts, the casino's not coming to your district.
Well,
So you're able to say that.
if there was a
But you know
location,
what?
my district was appropriate, it should go there. There's no location.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this bit, I'm gonna call the question. I'm calling the question, all right? I am going to call the question, and I'm sorry, here's the question.
Presiding officer, I'm entitled please to make a comment, but please, certain statements were made by Legislator Nicolello.
Yes, as long as we don't have this cross, conversation.
I will not respond to anything further that they say.
That goes for my colleagues
I
as
will
well.
not respond to anything further they have to say,
Stay-
but I do have to say that shame on any legislator who chooses to not amend this budget and have a line included for a casino that we all very know that by process of elimination that we learned here today may end up in Elmont, a community that we here together this year honored a young man who was accepted to all 8 Ivy League schools. Shame on any legislator who chooses to put a casino in my community. Shame on Legislator Schaefer, it was not good enough for Westbury. Shame on Legislator Coppell, it was not good enough for the 5 towns. Shame on you if you decide to put that in Elmont. Thank you very much.
It's not our decision, Legislator Salaches.
It is not, and Legislator DeRiggio, you know it's not our decision.
You don't put it in a line, you know,
The question.
allowing it to stay in the budget and voting yes.
Hey.
Allows
It's not good enough for the 5 towns, it's not good enough for Westbury, but it's good enough for Elmont. I wonder why.
You had to say.
I wonder why. And Pat Boyle, you should speak up, Pat Boyle. These are your children and their parents will be gambling, Pat Boyle, you should answer. No, you're not, of course, I wonder why.
Legislator Salaches, you have I call the question and that's it. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, so it's 11-7. All right, the amendments pass 11-7. Am I correct? Yes. Okay, fine. And now, the budget as amended. All those in favor of the budget as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. 7 nays and 11 ayes. Okay, the budget as amended passes. Okay? I had a statement, but it didn't, that is not necessary at this point in time. Right, so now we have an amended budget, and we move on to the next item on the order of proceedings, which is the tax levy ordinance, and a motion, please. Moved by legislator Mackenzie, second by legislator Dunn. All right, any questions or comments regarding that particular ordinance? Is there there is an amendment to the ordinance, and I need a motion on the amendment. Motion, please, to amend the tax levy ordinance. Motion, please, moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Schaefer. All right, any questions, any comments? There being none, all those in favor of the amendment to the tax levy ordinance signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the item passes 11-7. Okay, and now on the item as amended. All those in favor of the item as amended signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the item passes 11-7. And the last item is the multi-year plan, and a motion please on the multi-year plan, moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Kennedy. All right. There is an amendment to the multi-year plan. A motion on the amendment, please. Moved by legislator Ford, seconded by legislator Walker. All right. Any questions? Any comments?
Actually, I do, Madam President Officer.
Minority Leader, Mr. Von Abraham.
If Mr. Norton is still here, just to be clear, I know that we've always treated the multi-year plan in fairness to be a roadmap, but I just want to make sure for the record, from what we're seeing that's in the multi-year plan, it still has the revenue from the property taxes that, even though the Republicans have amended today, that tax revenue is still there. Am I correct by saying that?
Once the budget is finally adopted, we will conform the multi-year plan to whatever the adopted budget is.
Okay. So the second question, the advertising revenue, the billboards all throughout Nassau County that the people have totally rejected, that revenue is also still in the multi-year plan.
As you're aware, and as you properly stated, it is a plan, it is a roadmap. It was in this year's plan, it's not in this year's budget, so these things do change.
Hold on one second, Mr. Norman, just read. Thank you, Mr. Norton, that's it, actually.
You're welcome.
Okay, a motion, a vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment to the multi-year plan signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment passes unanimously. And now for the item itself as amended, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I did say.
You want to clarify?
No, you didn't. I didn't hear any no's.
We all voted now.
Well, that's fine with me. If you want to repeat it, let's go back to the amendment. Those in favor of the amendment on the multi-year plan signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. The amendment passes 11-7. And now for the item as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The item passes 11-7. Okay, the motion to adjourn, Mr. Dunn. Moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Capel. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the hearing is, the order of business is adjourned.
Did anyone lose a document? Well, it's a ladies' butt. I'm going to leave it here,
All that she wins.
Norma, you know what? Roseanne has a retractment on something that she said during the budget hearing. So, just so you know, though, I think she's going to be retracting about the procurement, the entire thing that I asked about. Just so you know, I'm putting it on the record that she's just told me that. Well, but I'm telling you guys, which is my... So the whole thing about the procurement that was said on the record, she's withdrawing. That's what she just came over to tell me, that it has nothing to do with the procurement process.
Put it in writing,
Okay.
okay? But this meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
That is unreasonable, though, I have to tell you.
Michelle, she started on one of the questions. And you took it to me that she was talking about contract round process, which we misunderstood. So, and then, after I started procurement process, she followed up.
Right, so when she said contract process.
Right, and that's why I went up trying to get everybody's attention, but everybody was crossing hairs. Right, so then I went up and I went up to her, I went up to try to clarify. That's right. And then procurement was not.
All right, I said it wasn't authorized in the budget. Yes, it was on the separate office. I said that's not. So you guys, doesn't mean
So just, I would
Because actually, she was asking to see the agenda. She wants to see it.
Yeah. Because you guys get the 19. Yeah, you're sort of part of it. You see those forms. So I was just saying.
So that's part of the contract. Good work, thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
Now it's nice, now we're dispatched.
You see my email?
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, so and you were crossing hairs. You're saying ordinance, he's saying.
No, it's not that.
Hi. How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you. That is exactly right.
I'll have to come in and talk to you sometime also.
I was telling you this
How are you?
Believe me, you have no idea. Oh, we asked everybody. Oh, gosh. We're a little too close to the administration. And one thing is they have yet to come out with their endorsement. One of their own is running and they refuse to say anything after their election. So we ousted him, first vice president, he's gone, and Corey came on. Also, everybody that was, so Brian Sullivan's back in. He was in prior to Jim.
Hey, how are you?
He was president after Mike Adams. He's good. Very outspoken. Not afraid to speak his mind against things that are not as they should be. He's not a bum. And he's definitely not close to the administration. Brian. As soon as you see him, you'll know exactly what the whole place is gone. They were not pleased.
And when JJ went dirty, oh yeah, they just put out this nasty, oh, very nasty, very nasty. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, legislator. Can I just thank you?
Yeah. And you know, when you go nasty, it's the act of a desperate person. So,
I'm surprised.
Brian put stuff out there and he had no answer for it. You know, this is what things are going to do to move the union forward, initiatives and plans, and just put out stuff that was going on. You know, they're both sergeants, they both know what's going on. And, they play well with the masses. We had a huge turnout. It was almost, I think, almost 3 to 1. It was huge. We have like 900 guys. I think it was like 730 showed up.
Wow, that's excellent.
We had a huge turnout.
I pick up like 2
Wow, I can imagine.
Well, and then I have
People vote when they feel like they're being put upon or lied to. The more you put that out there, the more people are going to
I also vote if they feel that you are.
Oh, we did.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's that. Well, the union says that is the one thing you look for. Someone, if you feel like they're not standing up for you, and like I said to the guys, listen, I met with these guys in September. If they don't know anybody, what are they going to swear? Put it out there first. I'm a member of the union. Then worry about everybody else later. Don't treat me, and maybe offensive, but don't treat me like everybody else, because I am actually a member. So there's no, they over an hour I was about to be. They grilled up, down, and center. And everybody that approached them is, we ain't doing nothing till after our election. So guys would say, well, so you're not going to send more calls, so that means you're only doing that because you're hoping if you do it beforehand, you're going to lose. But if you do it afterwards and you've already won, yeah, you already did what you're going to do. So guys got offended at that. I mean, I'm on Midnights, and Midnights came out huge against them. You're not supporting, because like I said, listen, let's be honest, if you're not going to support one of your own in something as important as this, how do we expect, how can we have confidence that you're going to support the union as a whole? And that kid destroyed me. Brian's a good guy. You should reach out to him. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's very, he's not, like I said, he's not afraid to, they take office January 1st. But it wouldn't be the wrong thing to try to reach out to him sooner. Not on me, but what I'll do is, I will reach out, I'll Facebook him, and I'll tell him that some legislators want to meet with